to run, to be almost airborne, to feel the air tearing in my throat. The light and the night and the light again. These voices, my voice, the kennel where I sleep. I dream.
Hi, I'm James Carroll. Welcome to the OxStu Second Week Drama Podcast. You were just listening to a few clips from Call of the Wild, a show which is opening at the Playhouse on Wednesday. I'm here with Mark Heath, its producer, and Jacob Haddad, its production manager. So Mark, why don't you start by telling us a bit about the story?
Well, people may or may not know the book that it's come from. Obviously, it didn't start as a play. Jack London wrote this book, which was sort of obviously his most defining feature, having the lead character as a dog, and obviously this has got quite a lot of attention here. But putting that aside for a minute, essentially the story is the main character, Buck, who's been played by Olo Clark, starts in a sort of a oppressed, domesticated existence in the Santa Clara Valley in 1898, California. He lives the life of any pet, the life of Riley, until he's stolen by the gardener, who sells him to the Alaskan sledge trade. At this point, it was the second of many gold rushes that were taking place. They discovered gold in the Klondike, and so they had a really big problem with dog theft. He is stolen and transported on a ship with several other dogs like him to Alaska, the frozen wastelands of the north, and gradually, over the course of the story, he rediscovers his inner primal instincts, the baseline of his existence that he has in common with the wolves. And then by the end of the story, through various turns that I don't want to give too much away, he ends up leading a wolf pack of his own, sounding the Call of the Wild.
And also, you've got 2 5-star reviews this week for it. So, how it's obviously quite challenging having actors as dogs.
Yeah.
How do you think Cassie and Joe have gone about that?
Well, it's been very much a spirit of collaboration. I mean, it hasn't been, this is how we're going to do it. We've been having workshops with Royal Shakespeare Company staff members, Central School of Speech and Drama, Oxford School of Drama, and even Oxford Martial Arts Academy at one point, which was quite good to get the fight movement in. And the result that's come out of this kind of creative process with professionals has been something really, really unique, something new, because no one, as far as we know, has attempted anything like this, because what you're doing is putting human characters written by Barney Norris, who people might know Barney as the former drama officer for Oxford University. He's now an award-winning playwright, has written these characters with all of the psychological depth of humans, but obviously there's a visual marker when you watch it on stage that they are inhuman, and therein kind of lies the power of the play, because it's reminding the lowest common denominator of all of us is our animal nature.
So over the rehearsal process, you managed to do that by not just using Oxford students and sticking to the Oxford drama community, but getting loads of other people involved, professionals and.
Yeah, which is not to say it's kind of become a mishmash of different creative ideas. What's come out is really, really strong, and we've been trying to keep it secret, really. Keeping the images suppressed as to how the dogs actually look on stage, but it does look phenomenal. It's a very movement-based piece, and I think you might remember way back, the audition process was very, very long and hard, because we had a lot of movement assessment to make sure that people could carry out the movement for the show. So the end product is, I think the cast are going to find it quite challenging, quite rewarding, something definitely very different to any other show that anybody's ever done in Oxford before, and hopefully one that's going to be really exciting to watch.
Cool, so it's very challenging for the cast, also very challenging in terms of the technical aspects, and Jacob, I know you're in charge of that side of the show. So tell us a little bit about the challenges you've faced and what you've been doing so far.
So, part of the story is we've got to portray the action in 5 worlds. So we've got to have the Arctic, we've got to have the Santa Clara Ranch, we've got to have forests, we've got to have ships. So there's a huge amount of kind of technical scope there, which is great. And we've been Rachel Beaconsfield Press on our team has been designing all these spaces, and then we've been building for 2 weeks this set. We've had a great team just to construct all of these. But there really is a large amount of set, a large amount of scene changes. But one of the key things that we didn't want to lose was the continuity. It's very easy to kind of have a blackout, take everything off, bring on everything, but you lose a lot of the continuity of the play. And as this play is such a strong story, we really want it to flow from one scene into another. And if you come and see it, you'll see it's been done very cleverly. And part of the advantages of working with a new adaptation is that we've been able to go to Barney and say, well, actually, this scene change is very tight. Can you expand this kind of intermediate scene where a change might be going on behind it? We've been able to change the action slightly. So we've had a lot of flexibility, so we can really bring out that continuity. So obviously the set's a huge area, and then we've gone kind of all out on effects as well, just to give a real visual wow factor.
Yeah, some exciting things in there.
Yeah, exactly. We've got all sorts
Blizzards, flaming log cabin,
lots of fog and CO2 flying around.
Yeah. Snow machines.
We've got 4 of them. Yeah. So,
rising up in the fly tower.
So it's going to be great. We've got trees flying in. We've got all sorts, but a lot of it has come from that. And then we've had kind of a really strong lighting team working hard, so that these different scenes are actually lit. Kind of to do them justice in all these states, and also to capture. I think the movement is a very strong element of their acts on stage, particularly with this performance, with the fights, with particular scenes, especially when they're acting as dogs and picking up these kind of small canine mannerisms. So the lighting team have been working hard to kind of really capture that.
Yeah, it's a lot. So it's a lot to bring together.
A huge amount to bring together, but got a great team, so it's going well.
So when did this whole process start?
I mean, this
months and months ago.
Cassie and I sat down in Edinburgh last summer in August, so August 2010, to talk about sort of this project and our original ideas. It's morphed so much since then, as anything does over that time frame, but it obviously really started to come together after we got the bid of the Playhouse in November, and then since then it's been sort of a charge to the finish line all the way through last term, all the way over the holiday, and then here we are in second week. And
so this is crunch time. We're recording this on Sunday, so this is your get-in.
So our guest today, we've been here since 9 AM this morning with a large amount of croissants, so we've just got to get all the lighting goes up today, because the Playhouse moved out their last show last night, so kind of this is the full day. All the set, we've been building the workshop for 2 weeks, comes in today and is kind of finally assembled. All the props come in today, costumes come in today, and then tomorrow and Tuesday will be the technical rehearsals and the dress rehearsal.
So that's when the actors come back into the theatre.
Exactly, yeah. And we'll go kind of cue to cue. We'll practice especially like the fight scenes, and then we'll do kind of a full dress run through, and then hopefully we'll be ready for Wednesday night.
So you've got 2 days to get all of the technical elements correct.
Exactly.
Have a dress rehearsal with the whole cast, and then hopefully
I can't wait
to a really good show on Wednesday.
One of my favourite things is when the cast come in on Monday morning and they see the set. I always love that reaction, because it's just kind of the wow factor. And of all the shows that I've done, I think this one's going to be the most phenomenal wow factor.
So far they've been working in kind of rehearsal spaces that are bank, and they've been doing a great job. We saw a fantastic run through on Wednesday night before what's called our paper tent, where we were up till 4 AM planning all the cues. So for them to come in and see kind of the fruits of all the technical team, all their work come together, it's going to be a busy few days, but it's going to be well worth it. We've been working obviously very closely with the Playhouse staff, who are very, very helpful, and just the opportunity to work in a professional theatre here is really fantastic.
Do you think there's a big difference coming into this kind of professional environment as opposed to working in other student theatres in Oxford?
Well, yeah, and I mean there's pros and cons to everything, but the defining factor of the Playhouse is that you can get spectacle, you can have the opportunity to work with professionals who've been doing this for 20, 30, 40, in some cases 40 years, I think. And so that expertise and knowledge base goes beyond anything that any student, I think, anywhere in this country can have access to as a resource. And it's really, really rewarding. And this is when it becomes, like you said, we had a paper tech, and fine, you can be up till 4 AM scribbling on a piece of paper, and then suddenly you can come into the theatre and these guys have seen it all before, and then in the space of 3 days we're there. So,
Jacob, one reason why people should come see this show?
People should come see this show because it's just a fantastic story that's going to be fantastically told, and it won't be quite like any other play you've seen here.
Brilliant. And just before we go, I've managed to grab Rachel Beaconsfield Press, the designer of Call of the Wild. Hi, Rachel.
Hi, James.
How are you doing? You've been to a ball last night.
I went to my college ball, and I am now at this get-in.
And you've been...
And it's early on a Sunday morning.
How long have you been here for? Since what time?
I actually got in slightly later than anticipated because I slept through my alarm, but I've been in here since 10, I think.
Since 10? That's still pretty early? Okay, Jacob's saying a little bit later than 10, but...
Whatever, 10:15.
Okay, cool.
I live in Carroll. I'm allowed.
There's lots... I'm just looking around this workshop. There's loads of exciting stuff going on. Just tell me a bit about what we can see here. This is part of a ship, part of a house?
That's part of a ship. So basically the idea with Call of the Wild is to transport the audience from various locations. And we're mainly doing this through set and lighting. And so what you can see up against that wall over there is the interior of a bow of a boat.
Okay, and it's pretty huge, just for people listening. It's about 3 metres tall.
It's almost 4 metres tall.
4 metres tall.
I think the problem with doing a design is you've got to ensure that everything, A, fits in the theatre, B, is, manoeuvrable, and C, actually looks half decent.
Cool. So if there's one moment you were worried about the show, one moment you had to create as a designer, what would it be?
That I'm worried about?
Yeah. That was the biggest challenge.
Okay, technically this show is incredibly challenging, but the biggest challenge I think is what we're calling the boat split and the big reveal, which is when Buck,
Curly, don't want to give too
and Dave are transported into the Arctic, and it's challenging, but that's what a tech rehearsal's for. So hopefully we'll get it nailed in the tech rehearsal.
So that's tomorrow. That's the first time you'll try that out in the theatre, right?
In the space, that's correct. Not that we've tried it out before, but no, I'm sure it'll be fine. We've got an amazing couple of stage managers, some ASMs who are really on the ball, a very experienced crew. And they've been into the workshop to see what's going on, so they're also up to date with the design and how everything works, which is, I think, very important in these situations when something is this challenging.
Cool. And what's it like working in the Playhouse as well? Because I know it's different from other student venues, and that you're working with a professional team. What do you think about that opportunity?
It's a great opportunity, honestly, and you get to learn so much. It's like a massive learning experience.
Brilliant. So, Call of the Wild, directed by Cassie Barraclough and Joe Murphy, opens this Wednesday the 11th of March, and it runs till Saturday at the Oxford Playhouse with matinees on Thursday and Saturday. The website where you can book tickets is www.callofthewildoxford.com. Thank you very much, guys, for joining us, and thanks for listening to this week's OxStu Drama Podcast.